Morning sunlight streamed through the expansive windows of the Ridgewood Police Department, casting a warm golden glow over the station. The usual chaos of phones ringing, officers chatting, and the smell of coffee brewing filled the air. However, an undercurrent of tension hummed through the building as Martin Graves, a brash officer notorious for his prejudiced behavior, strode into the precinct. Martin had just returned from a grueling night shift in the city's South Side, a neighborhood marked by economic challenges and high crime rates. Though his broad shoulders carried the fatigue of the previous night, his expression radiated pride, as if his perceptions of right and wrong were absolute. Walking into the lobby, his eyes landed on an older woman standing near the front desk. Rose Morgan, with her silver-streaked hair neatly pinned back and wearing a modest beige blazer, was chatting calmly with another officer. Her warm smile and composed demeanor contrasted sharply with Martin's view of her. To him, she was just another civilian wasting police time, probably here to complain about something trivial, he muttered under his breath. He approached the desk with an air of authority. "Ma'am," he said curtly, his tone cold, "this is a police station, not a place to loiter. If you don't have official business, I'll have to ask you to leave." Nearby officers glanced at the exchange, their interest piqued but unwilling to intervene. Rose turned her calm gaze to Martin, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Do you think I'm a nuisance, officer?" she asked softly but firmly. Martin, emboldened by his perceived authority, stepped closer. "If you're not here for a valid reason, yes. Now, I suggest you leave before I have to repeat myself." As he reached out to lightly tap her shoulder, the room fell silent. His touch, though intended as a warning, carried an air of disrespect. "Officer Graves," a commanding voice boomed from behind. Martin froze and turned to see Captain Leonard Blake, his superior, approaching with a stern expression. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" Blake's icy tone sliced through the tension. Martin began to stammer. "Sir, I was just—" Blake interrupted. "Do you even know who this is?" He gestured toward Rose, who stood silently, her calm demeanor unshaken. "No, sir," Martin replied, his irritation rising. "But I'm certain. She is Captain Rose Morgan," Blake declared, his voice sharp. "Your new commanding officer." The revelation hit Martin like a freight train. He turned back to Rose, who met his stunned gaze with a faint smile, tinged with the amusement of someone who had seen this reaction before. "Welcome to the team, Officer Graves," she said coolly. "We'll be having a conversation later." The day continued with an oppressive weight on Martin's shoulders. When the time came, he was summoned to a private meeting in the precinct's conference room. Captain Morgan sat at the head of the table, her presence filling the space despite her calm posture. She motioned for Martin to sit across from her. "Do you know why you're here?" she asked, her voice even but razor-sharp. Martin hesitated. "I think there was a misunderstanding. I didn't intend to." "A misunderstanding?" Rose interrupted, her eyes piercing. "You think your actions in the lobby, your disrespect and prejudice, can be brushed off so easily? Officer Graves, your conduct was unacceptable." She leaned forward, her tone unyielding. "You judged me not based on my role, but on my appearance. As a police officer, your job is to protect and serve, not to belittle and stereotype. You have two choices. First, you can resign. I'll ensure your record reflects the reasons for your departure. Or, you can take a transfer to Meadow Ridge, a precinct where you'll learn to rebuild trust with a community you've clearly misunderstood." Martin's pride flared. "Meadow Ridge," he scoffed. "That place is a nightmare." Rose's expression hardened. "Nightmare or not, it's where you'll confront the consequences of your biases. Make your choice, Graves. But know this, if you choose to stay, this is your last chance." Left with no viable alternative, Martin reluctantly accepted the transfer. What followed was a journey that tested him in ways he had never imagined. As he worked alongside new partner Derek Hill, a seasoned officer with deep ties to the Meadow Ridge community, Martin began to witness a side of policing that went beyond authority and enforcement. Derek's empathetic approach to resolving conflicts and building relationships slowly chipped away at Martin's rigid worldview. Over time, Martin found himself drawn to the strength and resilience of the people in Meadow Ridge. A pivotal moment came when he met Charlie Grant, an elderly musician who used his guitar to bring the neighborhood together. Through their conversations and Charlie's music, Martin began to see the transformative power of compassion and understanding. However, Martin's past came back to haunt him when he discovered a painful truth about Charlie, a link to his own father's death years ago. Confronted with the revelation, Martin wrestled with anger, grief, and a deep need for closure. It was only through facing these emotions head-on and revisiting his father's teachings about justice and forgiveness that Martin found the strength to move forward. Ultimately, Martin chose to forgive. He and Charlie collaborated on a music program for at-risk youth in Meadow Ridge, creating a safe space for kids to express themselves and find purpose. The program became a cornerstone of the community, reducing violence and fostering unity. 1 year later, Martin stood before a crowd at a community celebration. Addressing the audience, he shared his journey of transformation and the lessons he had learned. "I thought I knew what it meant to serve," he said, "but the people here taught me that true strength lies in understanding and compassion." As the audience erupted in applause, Martin glanced at Captain Morgan, who nodded approvingly from the sidelines. The journey had not only reshaped his career but also his character, proving that redemption is possible when we open ourselves to change. If you found this story inspiring, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful tales of transformation. Martin Graves' story didn't end with Meadow Ridge. It was only the beginning of his ongoing transformation. The music program that he and Charlie started had grown far beyond their initial expectations. As months turned into years, the program became a model for similar initiatives across the city. Young people who had once felt lost now had a creative outlet and a safe place to express themselves. Local artists and musicians began volunteering, turning the Meadow Ridge Community Center into a vibrant hub of creativity and mentorship. One of the most promising students was a teenage boy named Jamal. Quiet and reserved when he first joined, Jamal's natural talent for music quickly emerged. Under Charlie's patient guidance, he blossomed into an exceptional guitarist, performing at community events and inspiring others with his story. Jamal often credited Martin for giving him the chance to be part of the program. "If it weren't for Officer Graves, I don't know where I'd be today," he once said during a local news interview. Martin, in turn, found himself deeply moved by the impact of the program. Seeing the smiles on the faces of the kids and the renewed sense of hope in the community reminded him why he had chosen to stay. It wasn't just about redemption anymore. It was about building something lasting, something meaningful. Meanwhile, Martin's relationship with Captain Morgan also evolved, initially marked by tension and mistrust. Their interactions gradually shifted as Martin's actions demonstrated his commitment to change. Rose became a mentor and ally, offering guidance as he navigated the complexities of his new role. She often reminded him of the importance of humility and continued growth. "Transformation isn't a destination, Graves," she once said. "It's a journey. Never stop walking that path." In time, Martin took on additional responsibilities within the department. He helped train new recruits, sharing his experiences to teach them the value of empathy and cultural awareness. His efforts didn't go unnoticed. At a citywide awards ceremony, he was recognized for his contributions to community policing, standing alongside Captain Morgan as she presented him with the award. The applause from his peers was a humbling moment, and it reaffirmed his commitment to the work he was doing. Outside of work, Martin's personal life also underwent a transformation. The bonds he formed with the people of Meadow Ridge extended beyond professional relationships. He often attended community gatherings, whether it was a potluck dinner, a basketball game, or a holiday celebration. Each event deepened his connection to the neighborhood and its residents. Over time, Meadow Ridge wasn't just a place he worked, it became home. Charlie Grant's health began to decline as the years passed, but his spirit remained as strong as ever. On his final visit to the community center, he was greeted with a standing ovation from the kids and volunteers whose lives he had touched. When he passed away, the community came together to honor his legacy. Martin spearheaded the effort to rename the music program after Charlie, ensuring that his memory would live on for generations to come. As Martin stood at the dedication ceremony, surrounded by familiar faces, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. The journey that had begun with a single mistake had led him to a place of purpose and fulfillment. He had learned that redemption wasn't just about making amends for the past. It was about building a future where everyone had the chance to thrive. The Meadow Ridge music program continued to grow, reaching hundreds of young people across the city. Its success inspired other initiatives, including art workshops, mentorship programs, and career training sessions. Martin's story became a symbol of hope and possibility, a reminder that even the most flawed among us can find a way to make things right. Years later, as Martin walked through the bustling streets of Meadow Ridge, he was often greeted with smiles and waves from the people he had come to know and love. The neighborhood, once marked by struggle, now thrived as a beacon of resilience and community. And at the heart of it all was a man who had learned the true meaning of service, compassion, and the power of second chances.